so I have to push the handle with my finger away. It's jammed, it's stuck. So I've managed to pull this plastic cover, which goes just where the lights are on the trim, just pull it down, and I'm undoing this screw. So I undo these two bolts here and here. Finally! There's the lock. What I am actually tempted to do is maybe put a little spring, so it keeps pulling it back on there. That's better, isn't it? Much better. All I gotta do is make sure that I give that a good spray once in a while, and we're all good. Look at the salt on my car from the winter. And just here, when I try and open this, it opens no problem, but the handle doesn't spring back. So I have to push the handle with my finger away. It basically is jammed, it's stuck, probably from getting dried up with salt in there. All right, so let's remove this cover here first. Just use a little pronged fork tool like this, and you can pull the inner pin out. Oh, it's cold today. So you may find now when you remove this plastic cover that you'll lose the inner bits to the insert, so just keep your fingers on them as you take this cover off. Try and move them by hand out the way. Okay, next let's remove the two outside supports there. These do go left and right, they're handed, and if you forget which way round, you're not going to see it on the camera, but inside there's a little R, and the R obviously stands for right. There's one on this side which is left. Okay, now for the liner, you don't have to remove it, but a good thing to use is a little bungee cord like this. I like to sort of pull it down, just get it off where the handle insert goes, and then just hook it through this little hole and tie it off down here somewhere. Just keeps it out of the way. That way it's not going to keep bouncing back on you. Something like that. There's actually a good opportunity to show you. So when I pull the handle on the trunk, you can see how the actuator moves there. Up here, this little ball socket and metal threaded rod, that's actually going to the key lock, and it's how you can unlock the trunk with the key if you get a fault. And you can kind of see just where my finger is, just there. As I move the switch on the outside, the trunk, that there is what somehow is jamming, and there's a micro switch as well. But it's not that's getting stuck, it's the handle itself, and I need to get into that. Looking on the inside of the trunk, there's two studs, they're equal distance apart. I've removed the nuts, and these studs hold on the plastic external trim, which you're trying to get to behind it to access the main fixings that hold the trunk handle mechanism. But for me, I couldn't remove it, it was jammed on, so instead I just had to pull back the plastic trim on the outside, and I managed to work it that way. So I've managed to pull this plastic cover, which goes just where the lights are on the trim, just pull it down, and I can just about get my star socket in there. And I'm undoing this screw. And there's one just where that lock is, which I can get to a lot easier. So now with those two screws, I can push this lock in. Those two screws removed. And this lever here goes to a roller ball at the top, and you can just pop that off, get your little tool, get it inside there, and just lever it off, like so. And just inside there, you can get through this hole, there's that little blue connector which you can undo. So undo these 2 bolts here and here just to get this trunk mechanism down, and it's giving me enough slack to be able to get the lock out now. Finally! There's the lock. Oh. Right, let's get on the bench and see what's going down. So here's the problem, when I push this lever it's not springing back down. I've got to push it with my finger to get it to go back down. So I'm hoping I can lubricate it in here somehow. So unfortunately there doesn't look to be any way I can get this pin out. This pin goes through this little tube here. There's a spring on the back, and you can see as I move the handle, this spring here, which is a coil spring, should pull that back, and it's sticking. But I have been spraying it with a little bit of 3-in-1, and it's definitely a lot better. So it's going to be one of those ones where I probably could have done it on the car, but now that I got it off, I'm going to get a good spray, keep working it, and see if I can make it a little bit looser. It certainly is a lot better than it was. So. There is a little circlip, I just removed it on that side there, and I thought I could slide this out, but I'd probably have to take this lock mechanism off to do that. And I don't want to muck about with this too much. What I am actually tempted to do is maybe put a little spring, so it keeps pulling it back on there as a little modification. I've got some springs here. So if I get sort of small spring, something like one of these, I can maybe hook it on there and then attach it somehow, and it will just pull that back. Could work, could work. With a bit of spray, look, it's starting to return by itself now. So maybe I'll just keep lubricating it. That's better. That's better, isn't it? Much better. All right. I think that's as good as I'm going to get it. I'll get it back on the car, and now that it's behaving itself, I just remember to spray it. I can do this from the outside. I can spray in there and spray in there. So I won't have to take the whole lock off next time. There. She's nice and loose. Beautiful. So fitment of the lock is exactly in reverse to what I showed you. Just remember to put the 2 plugs back in. There's 2 electrical plugs. There's a blue one and a black one. You can see now it flicks back beautifully. All I gotta do is make sure that I give that a good spray once in a while, and we're all good. I don't have to take the whole lock off. I can just do it in situ. Give the actual lock itself a spray with some WD-40 or something. That keeps it from locking up too.
Baby, I'm a gangster too. It takes two to tango. You don't wanna mess with me. Baby, I'm a gangster too. On my knees in the night, baby, I'm a gangster too. Baby, I'm a gangster too. Let's move on.